So I've got my MVC project here and I want to customize some aspects of it. First thing, also opportunity to kind of look through all of this lot and understand how things fit together. So the first thing I'm going to look at in the views, I've got my home views including things like index.html, my landing page. There's some pretty obvious modifications I can make here. I can delete stuff, being careful to make sure my divs match up with my / divs and so on, and I can modify or whatever. So that's my index.cshtml. What you also need to be aware of is under shared here there is layout.cshtml, and this is the kind of wrapper, the stuff that goes around the outside. So if we look at index.cshtml, this is just the internal content of the page. Layout.cshtml has got the head, including things like the links to the scripts, and it's also got a footer somewhere, and some other stuff in there like links to the scripts and so on. So this is the page to change if you want to change stuff across the whole site. So what I've done is I've hopped onto bootsnip.com and I want to use this nice footer, this beautiful footer here. So I'm going to hop in, have a quick look at it, and there's the footer, and I can grab the HTML for it. Now obviously I don't necessarily want all of that lot, but I do want the section ID equals footer and down to here /section. I'm going to copy that lot. You know what I should do? I should copy it including the comment, just to make sure I've done things neatly. So including that. Let's be neat, shall we? So where have I got my footer here? Delete and paste. That's half the job done, because now I've got the HTML in place. I also need to have the CSS in place. So what I could do is I could just drop this into a pair of style tags in the right in here. I could put some style tags right at the top and do that here. That's not very neat. For one thing, at the moment this is all HTML. There's no CSS in here whatsoever, and it feels dirty to go in there and change it and put CSS in my HTML. So what I'm going to do is find my overall CSS file, and I think this is as good a place as any. There's other options. I could make a brand new CSS file that's my own custom thing. That's probably a really good option to do, but also this is going to be where I keep all of my sort of standard or all of my site-specific CSS that I've modified from elsewhere. So anyway, if I save that and I save that, now how do I run this without running a debugger? Is it this one? I don't think that did it. Hit that. It's going to fire up the debugger. It will take a moment. And yeah, so that should be working. One thing that you might find when you fire up something with new CSS or whatever is you might have to, that seems to have worked. Might need some slight, that's pretty good. I'm happy with that. Got the footer down here, easy to modify, all the styles that come through. So that's one way of relatively neatly doing that. Now another thing that I was keen to do, did I finish what I was saying about the, yeah, sometimes you might need to do a Shift F5 to do a hard refresh so you're not bringing stuff through from the cache, and we'll probably see that in this next one. So I've gone to now Bootswatch, and there's a bunch of different themes that I could grab from here. I am going to grab Superhero. So Superhero looks like this. It's going to be a dark one with some reasonably bright colours, picked out fairly randomly. These are the files that I am going to use: bootstrap min.css and also bootstrap.css. So what I'm going to do is save these and I'm just going to save them somewhere randomly for the moment, just on my desktop. Bootstrap.css. Yep, there's that, and bootstrap min.css. It's actually the same file, bootstrap and bootstrap min, just minified to make it more compact so it loads faster. And that's the job done. And what I'm going to also do is, while I'm here, I'm just going to rename these. And where are they? Bootstrap min. I'm going to call this Bootstrap Superhero. And this one, Bootstrap min dash superhero. Just because I already have a bootstrap.css and a bootstrap min.css. I could just write over the top of these, but I think it's neater to name your files appropriately so you actually know what the contents are. And I'm going to go into content and add those. So add existing item, and where was I? Desktop, bootstrap min and bootstrap superhero. Did I click add? I think I did. I think it's just kind of having a little think, isn't it? Slow. Why is it being so slow? It's quite painful. Now I've also got to remember where it is that I now make it actually look at those two files. Was it in the layout content CSS? Was it in globals.asax? I'm just going to pause and just I found it. So this is my website working, and I had to go to where is it? App start, which is a bunch of config files, and bundle config specifies that you look in the content CSS folder, and I modified it. I said use bootstrap superhero.css, and that worked. It didn't even need a hard refresh. Although if I now modify any of these files, I will probably need to do a hard refresh. So that's the kind of customization options. What that does, though, of course, that brings in someone else's stuff, and while you get some credit for including other themes and so on, you will probably need to do a bit of modification yourself, and you will need to make sure you've written some CSS and some HTML, and then given me the evidence of that so that I can see it.